So once again, good afternoon to all of you. A very warm welcome again and a very warm welcome to this esteemed panel. I think it's a far more challenging panel and a very, very diverse panel with a wide range of experience here. I think very two interesting panels earlier this morning. I always enjoy listening to Mr. Raju Kapoor. I think you could have been part of this as well, but it's agriculture. I mean, I love the theme of this event. It's innovation, collaboration, and disruption. Yeah, and agriculture, an old, very very old industry, an established industry with age-old practices and notions, even I will say, is poised for a lot of disruption. Probably, it's poised for a lot of change. I think this change is coming slowly but steadily. I think Mr. Ganeshan just stepped there that yes, organic will stay and so will crop protection. And, we're all trying to feed the world, right? Having said that, the need for organic agriculture, the need for sustainable solutions, I think even the comparison of how, India fares vis-a-vis other, economies, other continents for that matter, in terms of productivity or efficiency. Sometimes I think the earlier panel in the morning tried to address it. I think the bigger issue of hidden hunger is actually not being addressed. I think the same applies to our crops because it's really from the crops is where we're actually going to get it. You're not going to get it in any other way. Even the governments have not been very successful around the world in trying to nourish populations. We have a burgeoning population and global populations likely to exceed 10 billion. So crop protection alone certainly is not being able to do that. It's not happened for the last 70 years. It is going to need advanced technologies. I think the earlier panel even tried to address that. You need to be bringing in other solutions. Sometimes the solutions are here and we're taking them out to other countries even before they are being brought to India. But if India wants to become an agricultural global powerhouse, I believe a lot of collaboration, a lot of creativity in trying to understand and apply these technologies and scale them is going to be the way forward for the country as a whole and even for serving global countries in terms of being an export powerhouse, right? So with this, I'd like to start with Mr. Vipin Saini. I know he's running short on time, so I'll go over to him first. Mr. Saini, biologicals, the buzzword, everyone's saying, of course, there's a growth globally. How do you see the growth trajectory in India and how do you see it different from that vis-a-vis the rest of the world? And, what are the challenges in scaling this in India?
Thanks very much, Komalji. Very good afternoon to everyone. Globally, we, in the biological segment, combined biofertilizers, biopesticides, and biostimulants are about 1/10 of the quantum of the chemical pesticides or the chemical agri inputs that are being used. So we're just 1/10 and at a global level. In the Indian scenario, like in the global level, you can say it's 15 billion approx for biocontrol, 7 billion for biostimulants, and 4 billion for biofertilizers. And so the gap itself in India is half of it. Okay, so we've got a huge potential. And this isn't the first time that biologicals are in Transact. I don't know, but I'll just like to add upon here that the first registration committee was held in 1972, in which 15 chemical pesticides were taken across. And then it was in 1973 that the country's 2 botanical pesticides were registered way back in 73. And in 74, the first PGR was registered. And in 77 only, the first microbial pesticide, BT, was registered. So it's not new to our country. We've been in the ambit. And even if you look at the first planning commission, 5-year planning commission report also, you'll find that the need to address soil health was stated at that point of time also. I'm sure Vishalji can elaborate more on that later on. So, biologicals are going into the whole issue. And now with the latest climate change report that came across a decade back, and with all the environmental concerns being raised more vocally, I'll say more vocally, and therefore today I don't believe that there's a contention of differentiating who is a biological company and who is a chemical company, because everyone is in the roping.
Sure.
Every single company is in for nutritional management, for biostimulants, for biofertilizers. So they're working. So I believe there's no difference. There shouldn't be any difference across. Taking a clue from our earlier panel discussion where Dr. Suresh had very rightly mentioned that there's an issue on import of things going on, especially on microbials, right? And there's a concern, but there's a methodology. There's a protocol, and that protocol is very well defined, both by the Directorate of Plant Protection, Quarantine and Storage, as well as endorsed by the Department of Biotechnology. There are ifs and buts on, the government itself is wanting to promote self-reliance, so hence the thing comes in microbials. But yes, that is definitely something that can be looked upon if the need be, because the country also, and Kapoor Saab, you need to make note of this, that the country already is approving endoparasites in the country to control various pests. So we are already introducing new pests, new insects in the country, which may at one point of time probably turn out to be a secondary pest of its own.
Sure.
And a challenge to control. So we should not dwell upon those issues, but yes, we are in for that kind of arrangement. The government recently in its R&D section, with the latest Bio 3 policy, E3 policy, has demarcated a huge amount for biomanufacturing. And in microbials itself, in the agriculture itself, I believe it's about 100,000 crores that is coming. I'm not sure whether the numbers are right, but there a substantial amount of it is over there. And to take a clue of the enhancement in biologicals, the government has got not less than 22 national initiatives going on. The only thing is that companies, researchers, institutions need to see where they fit in, where they can come across and dwell with things across. Again, R&D goes on a much faster pace. Regulations are far behind. We are still just talking basically chemical versus biologicals or biologicals versus chemicals. I don't see a debate going on over there because we're all in the same soup. But what I see a debate going on is that none of us are addressing the kind of nanotechnological interventions in such products, be it chemical or biologicals, wherein the protocols are yet to be adapted by the regulators themselves in the true spirit. Now, talking about nanofertilizer, just I'll take a clue on that thing just for everybody to understand. There are a set of acute and subacute studies that have been done, which the applicants claim, IFCO and all, claim that they have done it. Fair enough. But nobody has tried to understand or study the second part of that document. It is just like in herbicides, that herbicides you have an efficacy trial on the herbicide itself, on the first crop, and then you have got a trial on the subsequent 2 crops to see the effect of that. Similarly, over here, if you see the DBT document, the DBT document clearly states a second phase of testing on the products produced, whether they are safe for consumption or not. Nobody's taking that thing across. We recently had a meeting at the PSA under Dr. Vishal over here, and they were also amazed that so much of development is happening in the biological segment that probably out of the 5 verticals, they need to increase the vertical to agriculture in this regard. Now, the beauty about microbials, like the government is trying to promote Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, then Bharatiya Prakritik Krishi Paddhati, so they're all complemental, right? What we have an understanding of microbials is on the commercial aspect. What is happening in the natural, where everything has to be produced on the farm itself and it's a concoction, we still lack that kind of understanding. But however, if you see latest legislations coming across even in the pharma sector, where Ayurvedic traditional medications are being scientifically validated. And same thing, if you read the definition of the new pesticide management bill, there also they have said to regulate traditional knowledge. So that is going to be a challenge. Like in biologicals, we have got a range, so we'll require it not to be coming from 100% content of product, but to a range. It needs to meet a range because biologicals act differently in this regard. Again, it is all about the latest thing going on, that we are still at the phase of where biostimulants are in the implementation stage. We have already got 11 products notified. My humble request to all audience over here is to please, whenever you discuss biostimulants, biofertilizers or biopesticides, please be aware of the fact that biopesticides are regulated under the Insecticides Act. The biofertilizers are regulated under the Fertilizer Control Order. And the biostimulants are part of the Fertilizer Control Order now, which is also part of the Essential Commodities Act. So you need to read them across, not to confuse and try to, earlier I believe Mr. R.G. Agarwal stated that 90% of the biostimulants are containing chemicals or something like that, if I overheard him saying something like that. So, you know, learn your law, learn what to do. Till date, nobody can pick up a biostimulant sample. So where is the testing coming across? And where is the whole thing perception? So this is where Dr. P.K. Singh has said, the perception. We are mixing perceptions ourselves on this whole regard, which we need to address by a better understanding amongst ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to leave for another meeting. So
thank you, Mr. Saini.
Thank you very much for giving me the
Yes,
opportunity.
yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anything else I can help you out with, you know how to reach me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to be dashing out. Okay, take it.
So yeah, I have interesting points on bringing in microbials in India. I believe globally all countries have decided as to which are the ones that are registered there, and they have to protect against natural enemies in that sense, right? Because that's something that's required, and I think it has to be done at a national level. You know, it's being done in Europe. The same is being done in India. I'll come over to Ms. Anuja Kadam. Anuja, what are the initiatives that are being taken by industry, and what sort of support is sort of needed to bolster sustainable innovation in crop protection? You know, how do you see that going forward?
Certainly. Thanks, Komal. Thanks for that question. I think the industry is doing already a lot. If we look at the pipeline of most of the industry players, and I'll just cite the Corteva example over there, we have set ourselves this target in 2020 that by 2025, if any product that does not perform better on one of the shortlisted sustainability criteria, then we'll not go ahead with that product. This is a huge, huge commitment that we are willing to leave money on the table if it does not justify the sustainability criteria. And as a result, in 2023 itself, we were able to meet that criteria. So now, from 24 onwards, all the crop protection products that come out of the Corteva labs have one notable benefit or improvement on one of the sustainability criteria, and there's no impact on the efficacy or efficiency. So it's just a Corteva example that I'm talking about, but most of the companies and members have already realized that the burden of innovation cannot shift from one place to other. But what this also needs is a very quicker way of commercialization, and that's where a lot of our industry is facing challenge. Traditionally, irrespective of the sector, innovation is always in the lead, and the regulatory mechanisms trail behind it. And they are always trying to catch up to the innovation or the pace of innovation, and that's to a large extent is also the case over here. But one thing that differs is we may still be coming up with the AI and the cybersecurity and privacy laws, but even to maintain that, we need the food on the table. And that's where the priority of having a regulation that improves or, that promotes the commercialization is extremely important. It can be done in a harmonized manner like the rest of the world. So if something is already approved in, let's say, Brazil, and Brazil actually is a very good example. We have seen that in Brazil, if there is a product that really impacts the farmer, or the tox implications are low, they provide the regulatory approvals within 24 to 36 months. So can we have those kind of mechanisms going into place? Secondly is, and I know that the regulator is already working on it, is having a separate mechanism or a credit weightage kind of thing for the green or the new chemistry molecules, because you have to admit that there will be few innovations that are path breaking or are just leaps and bounds besides the rest of the one, and we have to give them that kind of weightage into the regulatory system. I would say that the government in the last few years have really taken that up. They have been really supportive on it. But is there scope to do more? Yes. And we had seen in the panel before this that there are emerging challenges, which is also reflective of the way that we are trying to bring more innovations into the country. And that will always remain the case.
Sure, no, appreciate that. Yeah, innovation leading and regulation lagging, I think a common resounding theme. And of course, I think there's a huge challenge for all regulators, not just in India, but around the world, in terms of how they need to be addressing this. I don't think it's an Indian challenge alone. We'll come a little bit to that. But you talked about innovation, and innovation that is green must be recognized, must be given green credit. Certainly, I would say not just, we talked about metabolite-free farming, we are talking about residue-free farming, all of these things need to be given credit. Given that innovation is such a key pillar, Dr. Pai, I'd like to come over to you. What are companies doing, or what should be companies doing to foster innovation and to bring these out? Of course, we understand the key challenges in bringing, from a regulatory perspective, people have touched upon that, but what are the other challenges, and what else should be done to foster innovation?
Yeah. So let me just step back and look at it. We are in a VUCA world, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And when it comes to farming, it gets still worse, right? So we definitely need to find good innovative solutions to address these issues. Our purpose, how can we really increase the productivity of farming, right? And that's where we need to bring in the innovation. Now, it's very clear we can't work in a single direction and get that innovation sorted out. And therefore, it has to be a complete solution which has to be also sustainable. We heard about a lot of sustainability issues right from the morning. And therefore, if I really look at it from the sustainability perspective, holistically, we have to answer both the issues. One, we definitely need to focus on precision agriculture, which can take care of our fertilizers or irrigation, digitalization. So that will take care of the farming. And the second purpose is how can we really increase the crop yield, which has to be a combination of both chemical solution and biological solution. So I'm talking about here integrated pest management, right? So the whole purpose here, can we really bring in from the chemistry perspective, can I really bring a highly efficacious, low toxicity, registrability is good, and also low costs. That's going to be really deriving what really I'm bringing into the market, right? But then secondly, the only chemical is not going to survive. It's not going to support my sustainability criteria. And therefore, I also need to focus also on biologicals. And for example, the neem and plant extracts are very well known for ages. But can we really bring in new microbials? We just heard about from Mr. Saini. Again, we have to really think from that perspective. And no way we can really do only with microbials, right? Or only with biologicals. So we need a combination of both. So to address really a challenge of the innovation, getting the farming better, increasing the productivity, we surely need a combination of both. And from the R&D perspective, we can't see the problem only in one direction. We have to see right from the productivity, from the farm to the ensuring that we are taking care of the crop protection as well.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'll bring it over to Dr. Smriti Kala. Dr. Smriti, in terms of, industry institute partnerships, how do you think these are being leveraged in more recent times, given the need for innovation, rampant innovation to address agricultural productivity?
Thank you, Ms. Komal. Thank you, Ms. Komal. Good afternoon, everyone. When we address biopesticides, there are several constraints, challenges, and of course advantages of the biopesticides. So the main issues with biopesticide is that their sensitive nature, uh, uh, by which they cannot be well accepted in the agriculture for the pest management. So at IPFT, we are working on the development of different kind of delivery systems for the to deliver the microbials as well as plant-based formulations to increase their efficacy in terms of like their applicability in the field conditions for the pest management. So we are currently having different concepts on the biopesticides and biologicals and microbial based formulations. So what we need, what I think in my point of view is that we need a support from the industry to commercialize or to provide a suitable solution to the in terms of to alternative to the synthetic pesticides, synthetic based chemical pesticides. So we are seeking a support from the industry to adapt these technologies. And second, I would say that there are we also need to understand the requirement of the industry, that how can we further create a more effective solution for the biologicals and biopesticides. In this context, I would like to say that there should be regular interaction and regular meeting should be organized so that we can understand the requirement of industry. So it would be beneficial to bring the biologicals and botanicals to the market. And second, the research need to commercialize, and for that purpose, we need a support from the industry, and we should bring together and collaborate in a way that these concepts come to the market for the end user, which is farmer. And I believe that this collaboration will fulfill the goal of Atmanirbhar Bharat of the Government of India mission, if we work that way. Thank you.
So, Dr. Babu, IICT is a very well-known, has a great legacy as a premier institute across the country. And are you seeing an increasing growth or trend in, utilizing the resources and the expertise that lie with the institute in terms of leveraging potential collaborations to bring innovation to market?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your, giving the opportunity, and then it's a pleasure to be here. And I would like to thank organizers also. It's a great platform, and coming to with your permission, actually I would like to enlighten about our organizations in view of few of the entrepreneurs here, so that maybe if you are already aware of IICT, but for the new entrepreneurs and spin-offs, IICT is established way back in 1940s, and the it's before our independence, and then it's renamed as Regional Research Laboratories in 1956. Under the umbrella of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. And then onwards, our organization is, raising for the hour. And there are, in terms of if you come to the, agriculture, and there are technologies developed at IICT, and name few is, like monocrotophos, chlorifyrifos, and sizofimide. All those were developed and transferred to the industry. In recent past, our council come up with the novel mission mode projects, agro mission, and there are two agro missions. One is completed, and other one is going on. When it is, formulated, we had a industrial interaction where, what kind of molecules can be taken up for, development. And there is thorough discussion with, interaction with the industry, and there is good response from the industry also. So then shortlisted, almost 20 molecules, and now in our, core competencies, development of technologies, economically viable, and we have the core competency of pool of scientific knowledge and as well as infrastructure, so that industry can be collaborated. And in my view, if it is early collaboration, so we can start from scratch and go to the field level. Yeah. Coming to the this one, in our organization there are 8 departments, and fluoroagrochemicals is one of the prime department, and it's working in 3 verticals. I can say one is chemical molecules for crop protection, and then pheromones, pheromone application technology, and then botanicals also. We have long back established the pheromone application technology, and but recent past it is seeing light, I can say, because a lot of state governments and even central government also is asking to implement this. Supposed to be go in hand with the chemical pesticides and this one. So this is a great tool for monitoring and mass stopping to reduce the chemical pesticide wastage, or reduce the pollution, whatever morning onwards talking. So that can be controlled maybe by using implementing this pheromone technology. And also ICT is already known for this one, botanical extract and analysis, that validation studies and all.
Great.
Apart from this, we are also focusing on, as Dr. Pai mentioned that this is required combination of all 3 for the sustainable crop production. So yeah.
Great, great. Thank you. So it sounds like we have a lot of research that is happening. There's a lot of innovation. There is also infrastructure to support that. Of course, there are key challenges in terms of, establishing a more robust regulatory framework, which of course all regulators around the world are trying to do, including India. They've taken some active steps in trying to address things. I think the earlier panel was trying to talk about that. But I'd come to Mr. Mundhe. What challenges do you see in the industry, again, similar to what Ms. Anuja said earlier, in trying to bring this innovation to market, right? Of course, Indian companies trying to innovate. Where do you see the challenges?
I think from the industry's perspective, I have been hearing the earlier panelists as well as the speakers also. Morely, we are talking about the crop protection, the sustainability model, but we really have to deep dive into the biologicals. What are they exactly? So biologicals are a very much supplementary or a complementary to the chemical sector. And when it comes together, it can create a very good tool to have a very sustainable approach also. And when it comes to the biologicals, they are nothing but derived from the natural resources also. And natural resources are quite available into the environment. And to unleash its potential, we have to really bring it into a usable form. That is very important, and that's where the formulation plays a very important role. Nowadays, when we talk about the microbials, it has a shelf life of almost 6 months to 8 months only. And that has become a big challenge. And this has to be collaborated together between government and the private organizations, how we can improve the overall, the shelf life of the product so that the effectiveness can be given same like the resistance as well as the residue management as well. Apart from that, there are a lot of government institutes, as our scientists have spoken, that they have been working onto the plant extract, the microbial extracts also. Similarly, the private organizations are already working on those directions also. But what is important is that how do we set up the framework? When it comes to these kind of new innovations, cutting edge technologies, we have to really see the real world field experience of these products. The second one is the characterization, the composition of the product, how this delivers the benefits in terms of controlling the pest and the diseases, as well as the nutrient management also. And the last one is the overall mode of actions. If we work on all these important aspects, I'm sure that we can achieve the regulatory compliance what we require. Apart from that, you have already heard many people are saying that there are certain countries who have already implemented the registrations in certain countries. Anuja has already mentioned about the Brazil. Similarly, if we thoroughly study this regulatory framework, how the different countries are adopting, definitely in India as well as into the global level also, we can standardize this regulatory framework, and this will actually give us an opportunity for an Indian manufacturer as well as the multinationals to enter into the different geographies also. This has been talking more on the field development, the formulation, and the regulatory also. But the second part which comes into is how do we promote these tools? This has to be promoted hand in hand with the chemical crop protections so that we can bring up more sustainable solutions also. I'll give you a classical example. When it comes to the lepidopteran pest, if we can combine these mating disruption pheromones, which are available into the dispensers as well as into the sprayable formulations also, and can be clubbed together with the chemical crop protection, it can improve the overall control of any pest as well as the diseases by combining the biologicals and the chemicals together also. So we have to have a very integrated approach which can create a sustainable and a productive environment to give a better farming in future also. Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you. So last, you ended the word with sustainability. It's a big subject, and when you talk about agriculture as an industry contributes to around 19% of greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah, so agriculture comes under direct threat when there's so much climate change that has already started. We crossed the 1.5 degrees Celsius barrier just last year. We hope we don't cross the 2 degree. That's what everyone's trying. But one of the challenges is when agriculture is contributing to 19% of these emissions. And, amongst that, the old practices is what are contributing to these sort of emissions, right? The government today is trying to make initiatives around organic agriculture, regenerative practices, right? How, Dr. Vishal Choudhary, do you see, industry and government trying to come together to address the bigger picture, right? We all talking about safer food, more productivity, less emissions, better soil health, and a better return for the farmer. How do you see this coming together? It's a huge task for any government today, and a very, very challenging issue to tackle.
Actually, there are too many questions in one question, but I'll address one by one. First of all, I would like to thank ICN for giving me this opportunity and inviting me to speak on this very important topic. Yeah. So basically, there are a lot of initiatives which government has taken in this regard. So I will directly come to, first I will address regarding research and innovation on the agrochemicals and agriculture practices also. So basically, if you see, the agrochemical is a very crucial, very important and a very crucial segment of the chemical sector, because it is one of the segment where we are the net exporters. Yes. So basically in other chemical segments, because generally we are the net importers, but agrochemical and pharma, there are two segments where we are the net exporters. And it's basically dominated by nowadays, since last 5 to 6 years, industry people may be, correcting me if I'm wrong, it is now dominated by herbicides, which are the safer insecticides known as, followed by fungicides and then the insecticides. So that is the trend of the business. Now, coming to the innovation, government has taken a lot of initiative, but what now we are focusing is that there should be, government is encouraging more industry and academia interaction, partnerships. And in such move, we have established 8 science and technology clusters. Okay. So this cluster concept, it is a consortia wherein the leading research institutes, industries, MSMEs, startups, and all the other brains, fields from entomologists, chemists, they have come together and they are providing the solution through science and technology intervention to the regional problems. These clusters have been established on the recommendations of Honorable Prime Minister Science and Technology Innovation Advisory Council. And our office has established those S&T clusters. So far, 8 clusters have been established in the country. I encourage industry to please interact with those clusters. All of them have all the leading institutes of the government. All of them are housed at IITs or the CSIRs. So the objective of those clusters is to give the solution to all the arising problems regarding research and innovation. And in that cluster, industry is involved from the proof of concept stage. So that there is a taker at the last, and it is ensured that it is implemented at on the field. Many such initiatives have been taken, not in the agriculture. I would just like to give an example. Our Bangalore cluster has developed a diabetic diagnosis footmat. So when the project started 4 years back, and now all the municipal hospitals in the state of Karnataka, all the government hospitals of Bangalore are holding that, have kept those diabetic footmat and that clinic. So that is a very simple thing, and any person can barefoot has to stand for 2 or 3 minutes, and then if he is diabetic or pre-diabetic, assessment can be done within 5 minutes. And the results accuracy is more than 95%. So such initiatives are being taken to ease out the research, give the, easy-handed solutions, technological solutions in the research and innovation. Similarly, on agriculture aspect of the theme, Bangalore and the Hyderabad clusters are working continuously, and even the Pune cluster is also working. They are working on some pheromone-based insecticides research is also going on. And all the environment-friendly formulations are being developed. It is being ensured that the formulations which need, like EC and SC formulations, which need the mixture of an organic solvent with emulsifier or the surfactants, it is being, now work is being done so that it can be replaced by the water. Maximum water-based formulations or the environment-friendly formulations are developed. And the nano formulations are also being explored, so that not only the consumption is lessened, but also yield and efficiency is also high. So already government is working on those steps. On the emission part also, we are already working on a carbon capture, utilization and storage, CCUS mission. In that mission, what is being focused or targeted that there should be technologies first for carbon capture. And entire value chain has to be captured. We are working on that. It should not only be carbon capture, it has to be utilized and storage. And the emitted carbon there are a lot of technologies available in our country only, developed by Indian scientists only, that the emitted carbon can be utilized to produce acetic acid, formic acid, and other very important acids, which are also critical or key building blocks of the various agrochemicals and the pesticides. So already government is working on those sides. I request industry and the research institutes also to collaborate more, interact more, and also focus on the various issues like, so far the classification of pesticides has not been done under HSN, dedicated HSN codes. Still, majority is coming under others category. The formulation, the 3808 and technical also. Dr. Brijesh, he knows, we have not worked, when I was in Department of Chemicals, Dr. Brijesh, me and Dr. Archana, we worked a lot on that. And last year we were able to create dedicated codes for, I think, 15 pesticides were created in the finance bill. And this year also the proposal is going on. So that will at least give us an idea to our domestic industry that what are the molecules whose demand is much more, and what are those molecules which are actually coming to India, although we are having a technology for that. So those things can be analyzed, assessed, and the safer formulations can also be worked out. So the only thing is there should be increased industry-academia interaction. And I encourage, our office is always open to give us such a platform where we can also bring in the concerned ministries, regulatory authorities, and the industries if any issues. So the problem really should be focused now on the research and innovation. So again, I request you can coordinate with all those clusters which have been established by Government of India. With that specific purpose only, it is only meant to help industry and the public at large. So this is, my input only.
Thank you. That was very all-comprehensive. It wasn't just agriculture. There were many things you touched upon. But coming back to our subject, there were many key touch points here. There is a lot of innovation happening. I think everyone's aware of the major key challenges We talked about countries which are a little ahead of us, I will say, in terms of adopting sustainable agriculture. Country like Brazil, for that matter, right, where they take the business of carbon credits much more aggressively, I should say. Even Europe as a continent has now decided to actually levy a tax on any inputs that are going to be exported into Europe starting 2026. So that's not far away, actually. So just coming back to Ms. Anuja, I know you mentioned that there should be credit around some greener solutions, So carbon credit is a real challenge, when we've talked with I've talked personally with the FAO, I've talked with scientists and, people in the agriculture ministry. And, there is a serious challenge of providing that carbon credit to the farmer. Meaning, how is he incentivized today? Today, he is just going in and following a practice that has been there for, quite some time. Where do you see these challenges and what sort of credits do you see being given? So it's not just emissions we are talking about, right? We're talking about soil health. How do you give a credit for soil health? How do you give credit for water quality? Because groundwater contamination is one of the most serious challenges, not only in India, but globally. So I'd like to open it up to the whole panel. And, if you'd like to take questions within time, of course, we have 5 or 7 more minutes. If possible, would like to address some of these. Yeah.
I'll just touch upon a few of those. I think it's a huge concern. And a lot of innovative solutions are coming into place around that. Traditionally, we are only talking about carbon credits and how the farmer get money out of it. And we are also saying that only in respect of 1 or 2 crops. We are not talking about everything over there. What we really need to do is simplify. And that's where I think the latest aggregator models and the CSR funding comes into picture. So all the members that will be sitting over here or the corporate entities will have some kind of CSR funds available. So can we take a decisive action that this is the cluster that company A is going to work upon, and their focus should be maintaining the overall community resources there. So whether we are talking about soil, water, good agriculture practices, prosperity of farmer, and the tracing and the trackability around that. Because unless we take that kind of incentive on ourselves, for farmer, they are not going to take extra step. It's just not possible for them.
I'd like to again bring it up because we have a very strong technical panel here. One of the biggest challenges that the common person or a layman, so to speak, has in understanding the difference between inorganic substances versus synthetic substances, and just clubbing them and calling them chemical substances and, negating chemical agriculture. What should be done to allay this perception, right? Because when you talk about nutrition management, we talked about the imbalanced nutrition management that happens in the country, right? A lot of these substances are inorganic in nature. They don't leave a residue behind. However, the perception of that is that of a chemical. So how do you see that changing, and how do you think the government should actually be addressing this so that farmers can actually take production, you're not getting hit by loss of productivity in the face of climate change? Yeah? How do you address this challenge?
I think one of the business what we have is the oil palm, right? So we produce I think we are the leaders in making oil. Here the model is a bit different. We work with farmer and through farmer, right? So today we work with almost farmers having 65,000 hectares of land. Now we work with them very closely. Today as a R&D, we analyze almost 25,000 soil samples for them. So it's a very, very systematic approach. And then fertilizers, they're just not putting any fertilizers anymore. It's a very customized fertilizers. We work with the farmer. So your question of what is going in the soil and those things are very well addressed. Not only that, we don't stop there. We go to the fertigation. Can we really have the controlled irrigation systems? How can we really get best out of it? Again, not stopping, not there. Going more towards the, the insect control, of pheromones, and all those things. This is a complete integration together. And if you really go on putting the fertilizers as you want, then we will have a challenges. And therefore, going into the systematic, understanding the science behind it, doing those analysis and taking care of it will really resolve majority of our problems. And that's what we do, especially with the oil palm.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Just to add what Dr. Saab has said, in addition to that also, government regularly organizes knowledge dissemination programs for farmers. So that issue is, and that we are also taking help from industry. We call the industry experts also there. And all the KVK, Kisan Vikas Kendra, these are being used as a platform. And the knowledge dissemination is being done to farmer on all the aspects, on the soil health card, on the crop, on the pesticides, or the fertilizer to be used, how it has to be used. So these things are already being addressed now.
Great. I'll leave this with a very last and a very big challenging question. I think it is. So the global agri inputs industry as a total, is largest being water soluble or fertilizers, so to speak, as of today, followed by crop protection, several billions of dollars. The smallest being the biologicals, naturally, because it's more recent and, there is an adoption, there is a need for it, there's an adoption, but it's happening at its own pace. It's several billions of dollars of industry. But when you look at globally, the hidden hunger costs, the total GDP estimate for deficiencies in our food is estimated to be the tune of $1.2 trillion. So it poses a very glaring question in terms of, while we're using all this input for so many years, for the last 70 years, in order to feed ourselves, but it's not really addressing the issue of massive micronutrient deficiencies, which then have a cascading effect in terms of non-communicable diseases, in terms of loss of productivity, in terms of loss of life, right? So where do you see this being addressed by regulators globally? Anyone would like to take that?
Not in reference to agrochems or biologicals, but I'll just share one small example. And that example is from gene editing. Yeah. So one of our licensee company has developed high Geba tomatoes in Japan. Right. And their business model in Japan is that they provide tomato as a service. Okay. They don't provide the plant or fruit or anything. They just take the patient or the person who's interested in through that. And we are right now bringing that technology or that end product to a lot of other countries. Okay. And that is just one of the examples. And I think probably that's also the benefit of the latest technologies. And just to repeat, I think we'll have to look at it more holistically. Sure. We just cannot answer that or, address that with one single technology. We'll look at it overall. And we'll have to start treating agriculture also the way we do health. So in case of health, we always treat it as a disease burden, and then we look at the market access. So do we do the same thing with agriculture or not is a wider policy discussion, which probably I'm not qualified to do.
No, that's great. I think, sorry, somebody wants to go ahead. Yeah,
Komal, just to add on to what Anuja has said, when it comes to the holistic view, we should not only look at from the regulatory or the policy maker's point of view. As an industry maker, we also have to take one step ahead. How do we prioritize the development into the biologicals? That is very much important. In recent few years, we have just started now, but there is a long miles to go to establish the whole framework together. Because when it comes to the feeding the food to all the population, it's not that easy. Because on an average, even if you use the fertilizers, fertigation, or biostimulants, on an average, you can get a productivity up to 20 to 25% increase or incremental compared to the standard practices. So positioning it in a very integrated way, as Dr. mentioned, that integrated pest management, integrated nutrient management, as well as addressing the abiotic stress management, this holistic approach will lead us to achieve the food production target, what we're exactly looking at. That's it. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you very much. I thought it was very interesting to talk to all of you. I think agriculture is poised for massive changes, if not, they were making incremental steps here and there. But as Anuja and I talked about this, that it needs to make a rampant shift from being preventive to just being curative. and so that you can actually see the impact of that on the population at large, right? So, because then it comes to soil health, it comes to the water, it comes to productivity. Even speaking about biologicals, you know, the sort of, you know, the two seem to be at loggerheads, right? I think everybody talks about them, the biologicals being at loggerheads with the chemicals. I think somewhere models have to be created where you can show sustainability in that, right? I think if research and innovation was taken in a direction where you're able to sustainably produce and course correct and produce quality food at the end of the day, I think then we've probably hit the thing. But it's a tough one for the regulators because there's a lot of complex areas that everybody is trying to address. So once again, we'd like to thank all of you. If there are any questions, I don't know if you have any time, but I think I've wrapped it in time. So thank you very much.
We are running behind the schedule.